Let's talk about some bourbon tips and goals for 2025. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So, as we turn our attention to 2025 and all the bourbon and whiskey exploring, tasting, community that we're going to experience, I figured I would pause for a bit, maybe get a little reflective, think about my journey so far, and then distill down to some tips and goals that I have that maybe you'll share with me for this year. These are in some ways personal for me, like I've thought about how they'll help me throughout 2025, but I hope they'll help you hunt down some better bourbon, maybe expand your collection and add value to it, and ultimately just enjoy this hobby a little bit more in 2025. So, as we dive in, let me know in the comments below, what are some of your tips for getting into bourbon, for experiencing bourbon, for hunting bourbon, and what are some of maybe your goals for 2025? All right, so number one for me is get back to budget. And I say that partially because it's good for me to remind myself that I can't buy every single whiskey. 2024, I did have some big purchases, but more so I mean this in the sense of trying to enjoy more of the affordable whiskey that's out there. I started my journey in around 2021 and then 2022 in particular. I had a really good time just exploring all the different distilleries and their major offerings. I feel like I've gotten away from that a little bit and maybe gotten into some of the FOMO and just hunt the big stuff, but being able to flood the sort of bottom half of my collection with more variety, I think this year will be very helpful. It'll also hopefully help you guys as I make more videos about some of the more affordable, great options out there. So that's number one for me. Number two is get outside your comfort zone. So I love bourbon. I've come to really love rye too. And so American whiskey, I'm super comfortable with. That's awesome. And I could stay in that box forever. I think this year I want to try more scotches. I want to try more Canadian whiskeys. I want to branch out, Irish whiskey, you name it. Japanese whiskey might be a year to try some of that stuff. But also even within bourbon and rye, I feel like my knowledge of craft distilleries could be better. I think that my willingness to explore and maybe purchase a bottle that I haven't heard about before, but I would just be eager to try and maybe be one of the only people to review it, but give you guys some insight into it. That's one of the things I would like to do, and that's going to require me to get outside that pretty clear comfort zone of bourbon and rye. Honestly, I was in that comfort zone with just bourbon and kind of stayed away from rye, and then it's only by exploring more that I got kind of invited into that world. So I'd love to do that more in 2025. If you have any recommendations for particularly like craft bourbons or craft whiskeys that you think would be great that not enough people are talking about that I could try, I would love to explore that with you and maybe even review it on the channel. All right, my third tip here, the last one. I've only got 3 for you because I think it's important to stay focused. More than 3, it's going to be hard to keep those in mind throughout the year. But number 3, connect with community. So I mean that in 2 senses for myself. One is the YouTube community, so continuing to connect with you guys, maybe even branching out and seeing what I could do to collaborate with some other whiskey tubers out there. That would be a lot of fun. But then I also mean local to me. I've started gathering some friends around me who really are into bourbon. It's taken a couple of years for me to maybe convert some of them and then get them interested. But I'd also like to branch out more and just become a little bit more part of the local community around me when it comes to bourbon. Get to know some people, get to see other people's collections, and just share that part of the whiskey world. So maybe you share a similar goal of getting oriented in your own community. I also think one of the tangential benefits of that is the opportunity to taste more bottles, sometimes some of the rarest stuff other people around you will have, the opportunity to sort of trade bottles and have different experiences, and then ultimately you just get more in touch with the people who know what's happening in the world of whiskey, when things are dropping, and that definitely increases your chances of getting some of the best bottles. So those are the 3 for me. Get back to budget, really explore, and kind of fill out again the bottom half of my collection in terms of pricing. 2, get outside my comfort zone, really stretch in terms of my experience of different whiskeys, craft and international. And then 3, connecting with community both on YouTube and then in my surrounding area. Would love to hear in the comments below if you share any of these or think any of these are ones that you might adopt this year. Ultimately, I do think they all help you orient yourself in the world of whiskey, expand your knowledge, and get connected with the right people. Thank you guys again for all the support in 2024. I hope you'll join us for 2025. If you haven't subscribed already, I do plan to release a lot of great content this year and would love to have you aboard for the whole journey. While you're at it, hit the like button on this video. That's what gets it out to the most people. And then again, really do want to hear in the comments below, what are some of your tips and goals for 2025? Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.